Welcome to the Leadership Purpose with Robin podcast. I'm your host, Robin L. Owens, PhD, and this is where we dive in each week to give advice, tools, and tips for high-achieving women leaders, and we talk about leadership purpose and its importance for you. I am a college professor, and when I am not doing that, I am speaking, writing, coaching, mentoring, and teaching high-achieving women leaders how to find, and not only find, but how to stay in alignment with their leadership purpose so they can make a meaningful difference right there in their career, leadership, or business. Okay, let's dive in. Hi, everyone. It's Dr. Robin. Welcome back to another episode. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for being here and listening in. Today, we are here with Sophia Casey. Now, let me tell you a word about her. Sophia is a 2-time best-selling author committed to women's global empowerment, and this is evidenced by her novel, Fierce Vulnerability, A Colored Girl's Truth, Trials, and Triumphs, which debuted as Amazon's #1 new release for dramas and plays by women. Sophia is a credentialed executive life coach, entrepreneur, and corporate trainer for several organizations. She is applauded as a thought leader in the coaching industry, having mentored and trained and coached thousands of executive, leadership, career, and life coaches. And Sophia is a new friend and colleague that I already so appreciate. So welcome, Sophia Casey.
Thank you so much. I'm so grateful to be here, Dr. Robin.
I am so glad you're here. And with all you're doing to take the time out to share and support others in this way is truly appreciated.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure.
Okay, so let's just jump right in. All right. So now I gave you a little introduction, a little bio for you, but you tell us in your own words a little bit more about you and what you do.
Well, I say I wear, 3 hats, and those hats are as a speaker / author and also as an executive coach. And I do a lot of corporate consulting too. So I love doing a lot of leadership development training, soft skills training to support leaders and aspiring leaders across the public sector and the private sector as well.
Yes.
And I'm a mom and a wife too.
Yes, that's have to include that, right? All the
Absolutely. Pieces. I know they're listening. So yes.
All the pieces of who you are. So what would you say you enjoy most about your work? And then tell us why.
Oh my gosh. I could go on and on. That's a long list, but I will say what I enjoy the most is supporting powerful people around honoring their power and also around being open to possibilities of them having what they want in their lives. And I get the opportunity to experience them experiencing breakthroughs in their lives. I mean, it's so good. It's like, it's like a drug. It really, really is. And I'm addicted to the work.
Yeah.
Yes.
What drives you to this kind of work?
I'm always so fascinated by how a lot of us humans, we stop ourselves from experiencing joy and experiencing lives of ease and flow and experiencing things that we want and attaining goals and going after our dreams because of circumstances. And a lot of times we make up the circumstances in our head. We make them even bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So it's like in this world of coaching, in this world of even in training as well, it's just fascinating to me to see those light bulb moments where, the client is like, wait a minute. So you mean I've been in my own way? Oh, wait a minute. Do you mean all I really needed to do or need to do or could do is just shift my mindset a bit, or try this one thing, or take this big mountain called a to-do list, and I only have to focus on 2 or 3 things right now in this moment. And that could have such a significant impact. Oh, all that I have to do is actually build a tribe of people who support me and remind me of my greatness. And that could have such a significant impact. And I actually could have what it is that I kept putting off for year after year after year after year. it's a phenomenal experience to be able to witness that. So that's a big part of my why.
Yeah. Yeah. That's wonderful. Tell us something about your journey to this work.
Well, I, reflecting back on my career, I said to one of my coaching colleagues not too long ago, like, I think I've always been a coach, but back when I started in the world of learning and development and leadership development, we didn't have the term coach. And so I got misnamed a lot of things, but what I typically would hear is that, mentor, which I did a lot of mentoring as well. But because the coaching industry is, still relatively young, it's only about 25 years old, we kept misnaming it. But I remember the power of having someone in my corner who would ask me powerful questions, who would sometimes push my buttons, but poke at me, based on something that I had shared with them or some limiting belief that I had. I remember being excited. I was a school teacher for a very long time and being excited about watching students actually lay out an action plan so that they actually could have what it is that they said they wanted. I did a lot of work in the special education arena as well. So lots of experience with individual education plans. But I saw the power of literally just having a plan, like how powerful that could be. So I kept wanting more and more and more and more of it. And fortunately, I got to do it as a formal job. So I was director of human resources, director of training in many of my positions. And so I got to do this work all day, every day, and then discovered coaching and went through a coach training program and then discovered the International Coaching Federation. I'm like, oh, like this is like a formal thing. And I get paid to do this work. so that's kind of my journey. And then took a huge leap of faith and took an early retirement from my job and decided to literally jump off the cliff and try this thing called entrepreneurship. And I haven't looked back. It's been great. It's been a great experience.
And I know the success you have since you took that jump, but there may be some people listening who are considering a jump. So I'm hoping whoever's listening, if this is an encouraging word for you, I hope you receive that. So now this podcast is to help what I call high achieving women, leaders, whether they are in leadership positions that are official or unofficial or at whatever levels of leadership, high achieving women. And these last couple episodes, I've been focusing on particularly on women who are high achieving women leaders, but also they're either the first or only in the room at work or in a professional setting in some way. So imagine one of those women listening to us right now. What's something from your experience and expertise that you can offer as some advice or support for them?
Well, I've had my fair share of being, the first or the only in a lot of rooms. And, sometimes I grapple with being excited about that, like, oh my gosh, I'm the first or I'm the only, and celebrating my fellow sisters for being the first and the only. I grapple with that excitement. And then on the other side, it's like, I experience anger around it too. Like, what do you mean in this day and age? Why would I be the first and only? Why is my sister the first and only? So I'm constantly in that conversation around like, oh, yes, I want to celebrate us. And at the same time, what is it that I can do to support our world and specifically our country and having that not be an aberration? And so first and foremost, I would say, surround yourself with people, surround yourself with other firsts and onlys, so that you have a village of support. One of the most supportive things for me was when I was a first and only in some of my positions. When I worked in corporate, I partnered with other women who had been in the same position as myself. And it was so supportive to sometimes like literally go in the office, close the door, lock that office door, and we would just have a complaint fest or just talk about all of our struggles and the challenges that we were being faced with. And sometimes there was tears in that room and in that conversation, and sometimes expletives in that conversation. But I would definitely say make sure that you have people in your village of support who have experienced being a first or an only. I also would say have a way, some type of accountability structure, a way for you to constantly remind yourself of who you are, to constantly remind yourself of the badass that you are, because you obviously are, because you got that position. Okay. You are the first, you are the only. And sometimes when things are coming our way and challenges are coming our way, and we're dealing with microaggressions, and we're dealing with people who are very opinionated and their opinions are not based in truth and reality, that could, have us get those Bambi legs and be nervous and be uncomfortable and start doubting ourselves. And so I think it's truly, truly critical that you make sure that you have something in place to remind you when you forget, because it can happen. There are many, many times I forgot. I'll share a really simple technique. I use I am words. So some type of I am affirming words. And sometimes I literally will say, okay, Sophia, take a little break. And I will say those words out loud to myself. I am Sophia Casey. I am brilliance, energy, grace, play, heart. I am living joy. Like say those things to myself. So I remember, like, wait a minute, what I just heard in that conference room, that's not truth. That's not who I am. Or what I just read in that email that totally triggered me, that's not truth. Yeah. What I just said is truth. And so definitely have something in place to remind yourself. Sometimes those are people. People can remind us, right, of who we are. And then lastly, I would say practice some fierce vulnerability. Fierce vulnerability to me means that I'm willing to be authentic with myself and authentic with my circle, my safe circle and my safe village of support, by saying, I'm scared, or I'm upset, or this didn't go well, or I'm nervous. I'm not sure. I'm doubting myself. Like being willing to practice that level of vulnerability in your leadership with you, your leadership of you. And lastly, I will put in one extra one. Fail fast. Go fail. Because I'm like, if I'm failing, at least I know that means I'm trying. I'm doing something. I'm trying it out. And that really does require a lot of fierce vulnerability to give yourself that permission to fail fast.
Yes. And learn from that experience. Yes.
It is a classroom. Yes.
Life is a classroom. I love all the advice that you're giving. And, it's speaking to me in a deep and meaningful way. Love that advice. Okay. So now, as you know, my work is around leadership purpose.
And so I love that theme. I love it.
Yeah. No, I'm glad to hear that. So what comes to your mind when you hear the term then, leadership purpose? Like, what do you think of?
When I listened to your podcast and I heard you say leadership purpose, immediately what came to mind for me is being intentional. Like being intentional about my leadership. And whether I'm a supervisor, a manager, or an executive or not, like me, the person, how can I be intentional about my leadership? How can I be purposeful about my leadership? And I have it that we have chances to experience it all the time, every day, in the boardroom, outside the conference room, at work, on Zoom, and in our families, in our friendships. So like, if I am committed to purposeful leadership and intentional leadership, what will I say in this conversation from that space? What will I do in this conversation, or how will I respond and react to this new project that I have? How will I show up in my family relationships and my friendships if I'm really committed to this idea of being intentional about my leadership? So more than likely, what it won't look like is me dimming my light. That's not being an intentional leader. And that's not leading with, leadership purpose. So more than likely, I won't do that. I won't, not use my voice when I feel a calling to say something. So definitely, it just reminded me immediately of being intentional and almost like fiercely, like that's where that fierce vulnerability comes in, like fiercely intentional. Like I'm relentless about my leadership and about me showing up fully empowered in my leadership.
Yes.
Got me riled up.
Yes. And I'm loving this riled up energy. And so do you think it's important then to have this leadership purpose, and why?
Absolutely. I think it's critically important, especially now. I have it that our world is redefining leadership and what it looks like. And it no longer is the type of leadership that probably you and I were taught. I'm totally dating myself, because I won't put you in my age category, but
we are in the same age category.
So it's probably, I just see a shift in terms of leadership and leadership development, where in the past it was driven by white men's idea of leadership. And a lot of times that meant leading with a whole lot of testosterone and a whole lot of telling. And I'm seeing more of a shift now towards what is the value in the qualities and the traits that I bring as a woman? What's the value of this feminine energy that I naturally have? Like, how can I bring that into my leadership, leading this organization, or just leadership of myself, like I said earlier? And so I feel like it's extremely important, because it's important to keep asking ourselves those questions. Is this leadership? Does this version of leadership or this definition of leadership that I've been taught, is it still relevant today with all that's going on today? And to practice fierce vulnerability by saying, no, it's not. And what can I do about it? How can I contribute to redefining the definition of leadership? So absolutely, it's important.
Yes, yes. And fierce vulnerability shows up within the leadership purpose. Yes, yes.
All the time. If we're willing to see it.
It's
there.
Yeah. That's the key, that self-reflection and self-awareness.
Yeah.
Sophia, you've dropped so much wisdom and treasures here. I'm sure people are listening saying, how can I hear more? Or how can I be in touch with her? So if for those who are saying that, how can they get in touch with you so they can continue learning more about the work you do?
I would love that. So I'm Sophia Casey everywhere on every social media platform. And my website is sophiacasey.net. And I say as a net worth, honey. So sophiacasey.net, there they'll find everything they need around leadership development, the consulting and the training work that I do. And of course, the coaching work I do as well.
Okay, that's wonderful. You have it there, everybody. And if you want her book again, Fierce Vulnerability, you can find it on Amazon and everywhere books are found. Sophia Casey, thank you for this time. It's been a wonderful conversation. I would love to continue more in the future.
I would love that. I welcome it.
Awesome. Okay, everybody, this is the end of our episode for today. So glad you're here, and we'll see you next time. Bye now. Thank you for tuning into this episode of the Leadership Purpose with Robin podcast. If you enjoyed it, head on over and rate and subscribe so you never miss an episode. New episodes drop every week, and I can't wait to hang out with you again soon. Meanwhile, this is Robin signing off. See you next time.